The Inflation Reduction Act is reducing our debt, and therefore that reduction of debt will end up paying for this $300 billion or $500 billion, whatever it ultimately is, of debt. So you don't really have to worry about it, the rest of you. No, this is about the fact that Joe Biden wants to get reelected. He knows that 53% of people who are under the age of 35.
Hasanabi is an undercover right. That's why I like to make the best possible argument against the right all the time. So that because I like playing in new game +7 difficulty, so that you know, there are more people who have better arguments against my secret worldview.
I disapprove of him, and this is one of the ways that he wants to get their vote. He wants to buy their vote. Now, the whole idea is part of a system that is so corrupt because the cost of education is going up, not with inflation, but it is literally going up in line with the federal loan expansions. So the universities understand that the more these kids get federal loans, the more we can increase the price of tuition at the universities. So this is a giveaway to a group of people that the president needs to get elected. The sad part about all this is there's no talk of responsibility, no talk about contract law, the fact that you went in and you said you wanted to borrow money, you signed on the dotted line, you agreed to pay, you live in an economy, Joe Biden, that you're bragging about that's so terrific that there's no problem. If you want a job, you can get a job. And yet they're saying, look, you know, if you're from a household of up to $250,000, you know, we'll give you $10,000, $20,000.
It's so funny. Like, they just keep using the $250,000 metric. It's like, dude, they shouldn't have even we should not have means tested that. It's just a talking point. It doesn't matter. The most effective counter to that is to showcase the numbers. It's literally like 28 million people that have taken less than $10,000 and $20,000 in loans. And it's the broad majority is like literally at 17 years old. Exactly. I was 17 when I signed. It's same with most people. You have people rolling on the floor here? What?
If you can't pay back your student loan. What about the senior citizens? You know, what about the veterans? What about the people who really need it?
Dickheads, man. I hate them. I hate them so much. They only bring up homeless people, veterans, and senior citizens exclusively to use that as a talking point against people. That's the only time the thought of a senior citizen or a veteran crosses the minds of these demons.
No, this is part of a socialist state. This is part of the state.
That's right.
And Jesse, you're right about the concept of
That's right.
the ideology. Putting these kids through the universities, indoctrinating them, making the universities rich, making the rest of us pay for it. My heart bleeds for the people who actually went out and paid for their loans, who
That's
went
right,
without things, whose family said, I'm sorry, we can't afford to pay for your loans. Look, my family paid for my education. I'm sure they had better things to do with their money. I didn't have to take out a loan because they paid for it.
She admitted it! She admitted it! Fuck! Shut the up! Shut the up! Shut the up!
Up to $250,000, you know, we'll give you $10,000, $20,000 if you can't pay back your student loan. What about the senior citizens? You know, what about the veterans? What about the people who really need? So you're right about the concept of the ideology. Putting these kids through the universities, indoctrinating them, making the universities rich, making the rest of us pay for it. My heart bleeds for the people who actually went out and paid for their loans, who went without things, whose families said, I'm sorry, we can't afford to pay for your loans. Look, my family paid for my education.
F you! F you! F you! F you! I have so much more to say about her that is just the terms of service violation. So just think about every terms of service violation. Think about every single one of them, because I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it just like you, okay? Holy shit. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Shut the up. Oh, my family paid for it. Yeah, no shit. That's why you don't have a take on this that's worth anything, you dumb fucker. Also, when you went to school, you 900-year-old vampire, school was like $40, okay? So shut the up!
I'm sure they had better things to do with their money. I didn't have to take out a loan because they paid for it, but they worked hard for their money. This is a giveaway, and it's disgusting.
What about those people who worked overnights? Right?
This is a giveaway to people who didn't have parents who could just pay for their college education. It's disgusting. They admit it. They're just, I told you this before. I told you this before. The moment that the Democrats do anything, reactionary Republicans have to react. They have to react against any level of progress. And how do you react to something that is otherwise positive? By just openly giving the game away, showcasing your horrific disdain for the working poor immediately. Immediately, she turned around and was like, it's up. Oh my God, it's so good.
Right, to pay to go to school. This just in, our very own Peter Doocy was at the press briefing. We hadn't had a press briefing in a while. This exchange occurred.
How can the country afford such a massive handout?
If you look at what this president has done, if you look at the end of this coming end of the fiscal year, $1.7 trillion that we have deduced, brought down the deficit.
Who is paying for this?
What we are saying is the work that this administration has done, the work that the Democrats in Congress has done, is actually there.
But when you forgive debt, you're not just disappearing debt. So who is paying for this?
And then I'll give you the second part. We lifted the pause, right? We're going to lift the pause.
It's debt owed to the federal government. It's debt owed to the federal government. It's debt owned to the federal government. No one is paying for it. Maybe down the line they could by raising taxes on the wealthy, but they're not, except they kind of did already with the IRA, which is already taxing the wealthier corporations. That's what they're talking about. As far as if you care about deficit reduction, okay? If you care about deficit reduction, which no one does, they only use it as a talking point, except maybe Democrats do. Democrats do care about deficit reduction because they're stupid. But other than Democrats, no one authentically cares about deficit reduction. But even if you did, the IRA does that. Shut the
at the end of this year, which is going to matter, right? Which is going to offset a lot of what we're doing as well.
How does that offset it, Tyrus?
The answer is don't ask, don't tell. Like that's literally, she's not going to give him the answer.
No, not the IRS. IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. I really want to hear from this clown, dude. Oh, thank God. I mean, that guy has just the same bona fides as all those other shitheads. So it's not that crazy that they have this dude, chirping about this shit.
Constantly refer to him as the president, chief, and enabler, because this is what an enabling parent does, and he governs the same way he parents. He enables. So what does he do? He throws money on everything. How do you appease your voters? That 60% of those poor, rich white folks who make $125 a year that need the extra help, you give them money. Why? So maybe they'll vote. So maybe they'll take that extra $20,000 or $10,000 they get and they put it in donations right back. So it's recycling. So I think that's probably the way he looks at it. But this is how this administration is. They're always doing this. That new deal that signed, they talked about all these great things they're going to do for the American people. The one that really stood out to me was they talked about type 1 diabetes and the insulin, and it's going to be lower and you're going to be saving so much money. I have a type 1 diabetic in my house. So for this, I was like, okay, maybe I disagree with a lot of things, but I'm with this. But then you read the fine print. Now, the stuff for the people that he cares about and he's taking care of, their stuff comes in really quick. It's already going to start kicking in the end of this year. I won't see and I'm luckily and blessed to where I can afford these insane prices on insulin, but you won't see that change in price till 2026. Oh, so that's no relief in sight. That is what you call gaslighting and loophole. They played on.
I love that, dude. He said Joe Brandon is gaslighting. Joe Brandon is gaslighting and girl bossing America. Joe Brandon is gaslighting and girl bossing America into thinking that, they're going to have their insulin payments coming in.
On the American people's feelings, we're going to get lower medications. And it's really going to help our homes. Yeah, in 2026. But this 60% of Jesse's favorite people, they're going to get theirs right away. And that's what you have when you're an enabler. He takes care of what's most important to him, and the hell with us.
Wait, what? Every Republican, including everyone sitting at that table, literally opposed the IRA, you f***ing idiot. What is he talking about? Like, literally every Republican and the network that he is currently sitting on the table of wholeheartedly opposed it. Now he's like, well, it's not fast enough. He's using his finishing move. What is his finishing move deciding? Actually, I mean, that is the most Republican thing you can do. Wasn't it Chuck Grassley? I tweeted about this a while ago, but a couple days back. Chuck Grassley straight up went back to a town hall and was openly talking about how he passed the pharmaceutical bill within the IRA when he literally voted against it multiple times. It's just one of my favorite things that Republicans do always is like they stand against any sort of legislative action that will help people and then only to turn back and take credit for it. Here it is. Here it is. This is it. Here you go.
Why can't we
That's how you know that shit was good, by the way. Wait for the Republicans to start taking credit for how, you know, student loan debt relief was their idea, actually.
Probably hundreds of thousands of Iowans were struggling to pay their insulin. And why can't we do something about that?
I'm for the $35 cap. And
He's for the $35 cap.
Shaheen.
No, he's not.
From New Hampshire, Senator Collins from Maine are working on a bipartisan bill to do that. It would also include something that's very important, other than just a cap. Because if you just cap it and don't do something with what we call the pharmacy benefit managers, PBMs we call it for short, all they're going to do is shift the price someplace else, and they're going to continue to profit the same. The PBMs are the middle people between the pharmaceutical companies and you as a consumer, and it's a very opaque business. Don't know much about it, and I have written to the FTC to study that, and if they make recommendations to it, and if Cantwell, a Democrat from Wyoming or from Washington State, and I have a bill in that got out of her Commerce Committee because she's chairman of that committee, that would try to rein in the PBMs as well, because the bill that passed the House doesn't do anything with PBM, or I mean it passed. It's to the president now. It doesn't do anything with PBMs, and if you don't do something with PBMs, you aren't going to solve the problem.
But there was a chance to cap that insulin at 35 for everybody in that bill, and it didn't pass.
It would have just capped it for the people that are on commercial health insurance. It wouldn't have done anything for the uninsured.
So that would have been something.
So the Kennedy amendment that lost on a vote of 50-50 that I voted for would have done it for the uninsured people.
Yeah, it didn't go far enough. That's why. Dude, I love that. He's like, oh, dude, it's just because it didn't go far enough that I didn't vote for it. It's like, shut the up, you bitch here. Get Mao Zedong.
In the green room, you were saying you thought that Biden's cancellation of debt was a great idea, and I'm just
channeling that summation.
I'm trying to be like Greg, but give us your take.
So two things.
Everyone that sits on Fox 5, the person that sits on that seat, for those of you who don't know, has to say some liberal shit, for the record. So if he says some like based shit for Fox News, understand that that's the reason.
I have a problem with this. Number one, I think Jason Furman is right. This is going to cause inflation. This is not
never mind, not today.
Going to reduce inflation. And you made the point, Dana, I think rightly so. The $300 billion that the Inflation Reduction Act devoted towards debt reduction, you wipe that out. Two, what I'm having a hard time getting my head around is the fairness issue. For families who say,
never mind, they're not doing it today. Usually they do that. Everyone, like, it's usually mustachio man. What the is his name? I'm forgetting his name now. God damn it. Geraldo. Yes, thank you. Geraldo is the one who plays the role of the liberal.
Saved for family, for those who took out loans. I took out a loan for the third year of law school at the University of Michigan. I paid my loan back. Bless my parents paid me.
To be fair, though, this is the liberal take. Liberals are against this, too, because they're media liberals are, because they're scum parasitic, wealthy, elitist pieces of shit. I despise fuckers that try to cut this as an argument that is like somehow against the working class. It's bullshit. I hate the anti-education argument. I know I joke a lot about like article heads or you know, I joke a lot about like PhDs and like people who did too much college and are now like, I don't know, talking about doing bodies and spaces all the time. But ultimately, I'm not anti-education. Education is profoundly important. Even as an experience, even if you're not like actually learning anything really all that important. And these motherfuckers that stand against it, they don't actually stand against it. Their kids are going to go to college. They know their kids are going to go to they know their kids are going to go to college.
Through college, paid my way through college in the first 2 years of law school. I think my dad thought law school was only 2 years. But the fairness issue for families who've done it, the fact that they didn't think about in this whatever they did yesterday and however they may do, and it could very well.
Did you just say thank my dad?
Who've done it, the fact that they didn't was only 2 years. And first 2 years of law school. I think my dad thought law school was only 2 years. But the fairness issue for families who've done it, the fact that they didn't think about in this whatever they did yesterday and however they may do, and it could very well
Wait, oh, he paid back his daddy. He got a loan from his daddy, and he paid him back. Oh, got it.
Up in court, like you say, Judge. Why not figure out a way to give tax credits to families and to individuals, to students who borrowed money and paid it back?
His dad paid for the first 2 years. His dad paid for undergrad and 2 years of law school. Oh, got it.
Or those families who saved money like our families did, and many American families have.
You're 70 years old. Shut the up. You are not in the same predicament. Like, you're not. It is a drastically different world that we're speaking of right now. God damn it, these people are such dickheads, bro. Oh, well, you know, my daddy paid for my school. They worked really hard, and they were able to do it.
And their kids to college. Two, if you're going to, the second part of it, two, if you're going to do this tailored for the things we need, I would agree with you. No more art history majors. If you want to be an art history major, fair enough. You're not going to get a break on your loan. Plumbers, engineers, electricians, pilots, teachers, nurses, family doctors, the things we need. That's where
yeah, every one of those has like a child or two that needs student loans to be able to go to college. So shut the up.
Where it should have been given. And finally, Judge,
or
you
have
nailed
gotten
it.
them.
The cost of college. These college administrators should have to come before Congress.
This is the only part of the argument that is true. This is the only part of the argument that is adequate. College campuses are insanely expensive. They hyper-focus on bringing in the wealthiest people that have the capacity to pay for it from all around the world, not just all around the country, but all around the world. And that's the reason why they spend a shitload of money on like pools and ridiculous dumb shit and their sports programs and make college insanely and unnecessarily expensive. That is part of the reason why college education is so expensive in this country. It's ridiculous.
Much like we've hauled in healthcare.
Yeah, I racked up a ton of debt at Plummer University. Man, shut the up, okay? If you're a plumber, do you want your child to also be a plumber? Or maybe your child doesn't want to be a plumber. Plumbers have children too. Shut the up. Also, I laid pipe to your mom, so call me the plumber now, okay? And also, that's such a dumb take because I literally know, not plumbers, but like people who do contracting work, people who work in construction that literally have a ton of college debt because they originally had a marketing major and then decided to switch industries. So shut the up. Plumbers also can have debt. Trades have to go to school too. Trades also can, people in the trades could go to community college and then switch professions. People in the trades can also originally go to full-blown like bachelor's degree offering colleges and then switch professions. It just doesn't matter. My brother is a STEM lord. He is extremely high skilled. Probably one of the more high skilled laborers in the country, in the top 1% of high skilled laborers. That pays student loan debt, okay? So even when they talk about like STEM lords, okay? Yeah, people who are building rocket ships for the American government are still not able to pay for their student loan debt, even though they went to state school. So shut the up. There's a load of STEM lords in here in this community that also have a fuckload of student loan debt.
And tobacco and others, tech companies say, tell us, where is it going? The inflation is here. Your numbers are there. What are the kids getting for that?
You know why they care about this? Because they know that it's a popular idea and they can't let the Democrats ever get a win. That's it. That's why. Because if they let Democrats get a win, and an anti-capitalist win nonetheless, holy shit, all of a sudden people are going to start asking questions. People are going to start saying, wait, if they cancel the debt for this, why can't they cancel more? Wait a minute, if they cancel the debt for this, like, can I get more money? You don't want to let people even dare to dream, okay? Because once people have a positive association with the actions the government takes, and it's not just the government takes money away from you and like hands it off to major corporations and that's it. All of a sudden you're like, well, I don't like this. I don't like this at all, because people could turn around and say, hey, I want more from the government now. It completely goes against the Reaganite, I'm here from the government and I'm here to help attitude. Or sorry, the worst words you can hear is, I'm here from the government and I'm here to help.
That gap. And I don't know if they are. Perhaps they have a great answer. If I were the White House, look, you've done it, but you got to marry it with something where with 2 to 4 to 6 years from now, we're not coming back with this same conversation, because it can cost upwards of $100,000 a year once you look at room and board, coming home, food at schools for kids that go to college. And I just don't understand what kids are getting out of it. So I wish them the best.
What about the people that took out loans in order to buy tools to start a business, the F-150s or whatever it might be? Or even maybe they bought an electric vehicle. Maybe you could give them more of a break on.
Oh my God. Oh no. What if they did this hypothetical thing? Oh no. Well, you know, sucks to suck. Plenty of people didn't, so who cares? Like, this is the reason why they cut this, by the way. Look at this. CNN panel clashes over Biden's debt forgiveness plan. What clash, fucker? You. Go to jail.
Think about this. Why are you already smirking? What's happening right now? Hold on. I didn't ask the question. Just tell me why you're smirking.
What is this?
The level of classification that we're talking about here for these documents, beyond top secret, beyond sensitive compartmented, that could very well include the plans for counterstriking against Russia in the event of a nuclear attack. That's something that's part of the football program, which I've written about, where the president chooses options from these documents on how to respond. He has to respond within 20 minutes to prevent annihilation of the United States. And that's one item that could be in these documents. Another is our penetrations by the CIA of foreign embassies, of foreign leaders like Putin, as well as recruitment.
So what happened, bro? What the fuck?
Of spies overseas. So we're talking about incredibly valuable secrets that the Russians, of course, would have been after. The Russians would have been trying to penetrate Mar-a-Lago day and night, and very possibly did recruit spies to obtain these documents.
Ron, you're saying that they could be there. We have no idea if they're there or not, and we'll never know. And at this point, based upon all of your...
And please, let's not know, actually, because if we were to find out, that would greatly undercut the argument that I've been making for the past 2 weeks. So please, let's keep it that way. Let's keep not knowing. Let's not know, and let's keep speculating.
Reporting and the report we just did at the top, you can't trust these guys because they lie and they plant evidence for a living.
Hey, Ron, we didn't bring you on to talk about it like this, okay? We didn't bring you on here. Okay, here's a Brandon take, by the way. Student debt relief must go to those who really need it, period. My administration is ensuring that no high-income individual or household in the top 5% will benefit from debt cancellation. Nearly 90% of debt cancellation benefits will go to borrowers earning less than $75,000. Go ahead, swing that, dude. That's why Jason Furman, knowing that this was the policy, did something that is unimaginably up and said, well, those people with $75,000 will probably be making more in the future. That's what's incredibly up about this, by the way, because these fuckers know nearly 90% of the benefits are going to earners that are earning less than $75,000, right? That's not a big sum. Like, that's not a gigantic that's not exactly caked up fuckers. Sure, depending on where you live, 75 grand can go a long way. But that's why they're bitching about people with like $250,000. It's like, bro, that's 13%. 13%. Not caked up at all when cost of living is insane, medical debt is insane. Yeah. I mean, it depends on where you live. If you're living in California, 75 grand, you're barely making ends meet. Like, if you're living in Los Angeles, 75 grand, I think that's 75 grand or 65 grand was when I was like still, making ridiculous spending. 65 grand, I was still thinking about like, do I take this Uber or what do I do? Do I just not go out tonight? You know what I mean? Because, and of course I had 2 roommates too. It's unimaginable to think of when you are thinking of, 65 grand in Oklahoma, but rent is so high, dude. That was, for me, the pivotal moment when I realized I was like financially super secure was when I didn't even think about an Uber price. Like when I could hit Uber and not even do the mental math of like, how much will this cost? Should I wait a little bit to see if like the price will go down or anything like that? That's when I was like, all right, I've made it. Also, we saw this gross shit that Donald Trump Jr. put out. He says, Biden-Harris, student loan forgiveness, millennial voters. Like, I mean, I think most millennial or even any kind of voter would suck any matter of student loan forgiveness cock. So that's a really dumb take. Campaign socialist. Yep, you got me. Like I said earlier, we don't need the peanut butter. Yeah, literally. They could have just like said, yeah, you don't need the peanut butter. A third of borrowers owe less than 10K in student loan debt. We already talked about this. The number of federal student loan borrowers by outstanding debt. Like this wipes out 7.1 million, 7.5 million. That's 15 million voters. 15 million wiped out up to 10K. Another 9.3 million up to 20K, especially if they have Pell Grants. It's just great. It's awesome. It's great news. It's awesome. House GOP's Kevin Brady on Biden's student debt plan. This is going to be challenged in the courts. President Biden is using authority from after the 9/11 terrorist attacks to do this. I'm really hopeful this challenges in the court successfully. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to say anything about 9/11 or what I want to do to people when I hear shit like that. So let's hear what Tucker Carlson's take is on.
A lot of posturing about student loan debt, but actually some of it's true. Student loan debt really has crushed a generation.
Look at that. Tucker knows. Tucker reads the room better than everybody else. He's still going to counter this and say it's gender degrees, okay? He's still going to do that. He has to do that. But at least even he understands that, like, this is a broadly popular provision, so he's going to mention that it's like, you know, people are being crushed.
Maybe multiple generations of
He will flip the script on to college campuses that have increased prices to give you like homosexuality degrees, homosexual Marxism degrees, and brainwash your children. And he'll say college campuses are raising their prices, and this is only going to make it worse. This is a gift, a handout. This is a gift to hand out to college campuses.
of American young people.
That sort of thing.
If you're wondering why your kids aren't married or even living on their own, student loan debt may be a big part of the reason. They can't afford to. They're in hock to some well-manicured diploma mill whose degree turned out to be worth a lot less than advertised. A 5-year communications major from Arizona State? Perfect! Step right this way. You're now a barista in a strip mall. The whole thing's a scam, obviously. Think timeshares in Cabo, but without the waterfront condos. We've said all of this many times on the show. College debt is real. It's hurting young people, and there's really no good reason for it. So when Joe Biden announced today that he plans to cancel some of that debt, the obvious response would be to celebrate the announcement. But we didn't right away. Instead, we paused to learn the details about what he was proposing. That's a habit we've picked up from watching people like Joe Biden in action over the past several years. It's always worth reading the fine print. These are the very same people, after all, who decided it was a good idea somehow to defund the police. They're the ones who forced the entire American population to take an experimental COVID vaccine even when it became obvious that it didn't work. These are the people who sent crack pipes to crack addicts, the ones who think 16-year-olds should vote in presidential elections, the ones who screamed at you about how Ukraine's borders are sacrosanct, but yours are racist, etc., etc., etc. These are people, in other words, with a long and public track record of very bad ideas, extraordinarily bad ideas. Ideas so stupid you couldn't make them up. So the question is this idea different? We want it to be, but unfortunately it's not. And here's how you know it's not. Colleges aren't refunding any of the loan money. You are. But wait, you say. I didn't defraud anyone. I didn't claim that a degree in post-colonial liberation studies from Wesleyan would be worth anything. I didn't take 80 grand a year from middle-class families in order to turn their children into Xanax-addicted robots with no job prospects. Well, no, you didn't do any of that. But you're paying reparations.
It's so funny. He's torching his own writing room, by the way. Like, he's torching his own writer's room right now. Like, literally. Like, how many of those cucks went to Wesleyan, you piece of shit? How many of your audience is Xanax addicted moms and shit? Also, once again, I just want to point something out here, but Tucker Buckley Swanson Carlson, who is of course a frozen food dynasty inheritance recipient himself. Let's see what college he went to. Let's see what his education is. Oh yeah, he got a Bachelor of Art from Trinity College, a private liberal arts college in Hartford, Connecticut. Huh, that's interesting. That's pretty cool, man. No, tell me more about how useless your degree was, you piece of shit. Remember, all of these media demons who constantly talk about like STEM lords. It's like they all literally are theater kids. Steven Crowder, theater kid, okay? They all went to motherfucking liberal arts universities. Also in 20 minutes, this libtard arts university degree recipient is going to be having Andrew Tate on. What is this? This fits and you call this stuff all the time. Yeah, I mean, they're done with the FBI shit. The FBI shit wasn't going so far, so now like they're going to be angry about student loan forgiveness. But you can say that about anything. You can say that about liberals too. Things that are in the public consciousness are things that people get mad at. It's just interesting to see that Tucker Carlson is 9-year marriage turned sour. When he was in first grade, he's moved to La Jolla in San Diego. He attended the Country Day School and grew up in the home overlooking the La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club. His father owned property in Nevada, Vermont, and islands in Maine and Nova Scotia. Okay, that's what he looked like at the Buckley School in 1975. Yeah, he was briefly enrolled at Collège du Le Mans, a boarding school in Switzerland, but was kicked out. And he attained his secondary education at St. George's School, a boarding school in Middletown, Rhode Island, where he started dating his future wife, Susan Andrews, the headmaster's daughter. He then went to Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut, graduating in 1991 with a BA in history. He was a part of the Dan White Society, which, for those of you who don't know, is an apparent reference to the American political assassin who murdered San Francisco Mayor George Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk. After college, Carlson tried to join the CIA, but his application was denied, after which he decided to pursue a career in journalism with the encouragement of his father, who advised him that they'll take anybody. And boy, isn't that true.
Anyway. Wesleyan's not. Wesleyan's off the hook. They all...
La Jolla, yeah. La Jolla.
They'll pay nothing for the scam they perpetrated, though they're a lot richer than you will ever be. No,
there's something so nice about a muted Tucker Carlson.
so you're paying.
Yeah, I said I wasn't going to watch Tucker Carlson yesterday, and I'm not violating that rule, actually. I don't want to watch it. No, Tucker Carlson's having tater tot. Change my view. The far right is a much bigger threat than the far left in the U.S. today. What, dude? I don't care about some fucking dumbass, like, Reddit thread that's probably brigaded all the shit. Get the out of here. Get off Reddit. Get off Reddit. Get the off Reddit. Look at how long that shit is. Just read a book, man. What's wrong with you? Why are you reading Reddit so much? Just read a book. Read a novel.